Hello, we're going to get started. Hello.
They want us back here.
Hello and welcome. My name is Matt Huffman. I'm chair of the Department of Sociology here at UC Irvine, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this really exciting event. People have come from all over the world, across the Atlantic, some from across Social Science Plaza. So thank you all for coming. So today's event is part of a series of events dedicated to the 50th anniversary of UC Irvine. Of course, today's event, we focus much more locally on the School of Social Sciences and its 50 years since founding. We're going to look at its history, its trajectory, and of course the unique vision of its founding dean, Professor Jim March, who we're very lucky to have here with us today. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to the current dean of the School of Social Sciences, Bill Maher.
Thanks, Matt. And welcome again, everyone. I'm just thrilled to see so many people here. And also, I was just absolutely delighted to see the kind of reunion that was taking place outside. That's really the reason for throwing this kind of party. It's just terrific, and I just want to thank you all for coming. I wanted to say a little bit about how this event came about, but first I wanted to share with you a sort of artifact from the archive. This is from the UCI catalog, 1967, okay? The Division of Social Sciences, courses of study. Now, it really says this, okay? I'm not making up what you're about to hear. The Division of Social Sciences has no great confidence in a college education that consists solely in regular attendance and grades in a specified list of courses, each lasting some multiple of 1 quarter. As a result, courses, scare quotes in the original, as a result, courses in this division do not always resemble the conventional university course, either in content or in format. This is like ridiculous. Okay, here's the next bit. Enrollment in a course is simply a commitment on the part of a student that he will educate himself, in parentheses, with such faculty assistance as required. When the education is complete, the course is complete. So, let me tell you a little bit about how this event came about. Because this is the sort of thing where, I mean, I'd like to say that we have been planning this forever, and it was all part of something. Not really. This very much kind of organically grew, probably in the spirit of the kind of description of the courses of studies I just read. A couple of years ago, when I was Associate Dean of Research and Graduate Studies here in the Social Sciences, I realized that we faced one particular problem in our graduate recruitment, which is that students who were coming from pretty much anywhere else but here were really drawn to the faculty and the quality of the programs, but when they heard Irvine or Orange County, they were like, what? What is that? There's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's a placeless place. We had this kind of feeling among a lot of the people we were trying to recruit that Orange County was either what they saw on television on the OC, or just some weird, wild, open frontier with no history. Now, having been here since 1996, and of a generally curious disposition, I had noticed along the way in my time here that there are quite a number of other artifacts, non-textual artifacts, scattered about here and there on our plaza that speak to a very strange and curious history indeed. For instance, and some of you may know about these things and some of you may not, the lathe mural that now lives in the sort of storage unit on the top of Social Science Plaza Building A room-long, big mural of an Escher painting that Jean and Charlie Lathe put together. The canoe, which is hanging up still in Social Science Tower, dug out by one Uli Uli, who visited for a time and taught about, I guess, dug out canoeing in these courses that weren't really courses and didn't have enrollments. The buildings just behind what's now the ARC, the Anteater Recreation Center, sort of green, low-slung buildings, California bungalows, just sitting there with some old eucalypts and other trees. In my memory, the site of the now defunct farm school, but going back even before that, the site of this thing that was called the farm. So I thought, I'm gonna make a web page and sort of put some of these things on the web page and say to the students, you're actually joining this place that has this very unusual and interesting and fascinating history. And I did this without knowing so much about what that history was. So I did what one does. I got in touch with the library. And I went to go see Steve McLeod in the Special Collections and Archives. And I said, what do you got on the early days of the School of Social Sciences? He said, just give me a couple days. Went back to see him. He had boxes and boxes and boxes. I start looking in these boxes. It's unbelievable what is still preserved there from the beginning. Photographs, documents, and the photographs are strikingly beautiful. I mean, it's like art prints of some of the buildings first going up, and of people living out on the farm, on that commune that used to be there back behind what's now the Ark. And so I thought, there are other people in my life who I know will appreciate this treasure trove that I don't quite know what to do with, and they might know what to do with it. So I got in touch with Frank Kansian, who many of you know, emeritus professor here in anthropology, who for a number of years has been photo-documenting incidents of student protest on the campus from the 70s until now. And I thought, Frank, as someone who now in his kind of second career is exploring photography, would just appreciate the quality of these pictures. And I got in touch with current grad students, Robbie Kett and Anna Kritschka, who are over there and from whom you'll be hearing later on, who have interests in kind of architectural history, the history of California, the frontier, the history of the archive in the context of various periods of conflict and change, both here and across the border. And the two of them basically went nuts with this stuff. Applied to the UC Institute for Research on the Arts for a grant to put together an exhibit to actually display some of these photographs and some of the archival material. We did that a couple of years ago. It was held in the School of the Arts, and it actually got then picked up by an architectural book publisher who have just released Robbie and Anna's book called Learning by Doing at the Farm. And this is the book. It's in the bookstore. If you're interested, you can take a look at it later on. Craft, Science, and Counterculture in Modern California by Robert J. Kett and Anna Kritschka. So that happened, and I became dean. And what happened next was, one day, this guy showed up. John Van Manen kind of like, I'd like to see the dean. Like, okay, fine. And he has, this idea of tracking down all of the original members of the first cohorts of PhD students to kind of think about what happened, where did they go, what kind of educational outcomes and career outcomes and life outcomes resulted from this curious experiment in the late 60s in interdisciplinary education under the founding dean, Jim March. It was around then that this campus started planning in earnest for its 50th anniversary. And as dean, you often get messages from the central administration saying, we're going to plan lots and lots and lots of stuff, so just wait, and we'll let you know what to do next. And so you do what you're told, and you sort of wait. And then you get like no further signals, and then you sort of say, what's happening? And then you think, well, screw it, I'm just going to do something myself. And we had this energy, and with John and Lynn Mather, who's on this same project that you'll hear about this afternoon, and Robbie and Anna, we thought, well, no better thing, and Robbie and Anna had interviewed Jim as part of their project, no better thing than to see if we could convince Jim March himself to come down to UC Irvine for our own little event before a lot of the other campus events start to happen. And I should say that there is quite a bit more to come. On October 3rd, this coming fall, there's going to be a big campus-wide celebration of the 50th. The school will be represented. I am told that they're going to be reaching out to the founding faculty of all the schools to be part of some kind of tent, and I don't really know what you're going to be expected to do, except, I don't know, if that all doesn't happen again, we're just going to do something on our own, because that's the way that we've done things in the past, and I'm more than willing to put that together. I'm also hoping next year to do some kind of event around the canoe, because again, Steve McLeod in the library, having dug into all of that archival material that he helped find, did a blog post about the canoe. And you can see this on the library's website. They have a blog where they showcase some of the things that they turned up in the archives. And tons of people reached out to him and said, oh my gosh, I remember that. I remember Uli Uli. So I'm all about kind of capitalizing on the energies and talents of people who are willing to put such into these sorts of endeavors. So expect more to come. For today, however, I'm absolutely delighted that Jim March is here with us, our founding dean, and I'm so pleased that we've been able to assemble 2 panels. One panel of people who will reflect on his legacy in their own lives and in the field, and another panel after the break in mid-afternoon that will reflect on the early days of the School of Social Sciences. That's how this came about. I'm again thrilled that you are all here. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the building, the bathroom is very difficult to find, but you leave the building and go that way into the main lobby, and then you'll find it, okay? And if you don't, ask a student. Please enjoy the day. I know that there's a lot more reunion kind of stuff that needs to happen, but there'll be ample time for that. Let me welcome the first set of panelists up to the front, Mark Penteska, Martha Feldman, and Christine Beckman, who are going to speak about Jim March, the man. And again, thank you and welcome.